There's a moment in every man's life when someone looks him dead in the eyes. Girlfriend, boss, friend, even a stranger, and speaks to him with a tone that tells the truth he's been too blind to face. They don't fear losing you. And right there, in that single moment, a man learns a lesson it usually takes heartbreak, betrayal, or humiliation to understand. People only respect what they cannot control. And Machiavelli knew this long before modern men turned themselves into emotional doormats in the name of niceness. Most men don't realize this. Niceness is rarely gratitude. It is often currency. A currency used, spent, and discarded the second someone finds a more valuable option. A nice man thinks his goodness protects him from being hurt. But Machiavelli understood that goodness, without strength, is nothing but a convenient tool for others. The nice man keeps giving people discounts, and he doesn't even notice he's the only one paying the price. The cruel reality is that the world doesn't judge you by how kind you are. It judges you by how much of yourself you're willing to lose just to be liked. Nice men cut pieces of their own identity to fit into spaces that were never built for them. They apologize for things they didn't do, tolerate behavior they don't deserve, stay in rooms where their presence means nothing, and confuse patience for value. And when the world finally discards them, they ask, "Why didn't my kindness matter?" Because kindness without boundaries is invisible. Machiavelli knew that. He saw that people follow confidence, not compassion. Authority, not affection. Nice men want relationships, but powerful men want respect. And respect is what holds relationships together. A woman may like your kindness, but she only trusts your strength. A friend may enjoy your softness, but he only depends on your discipline. Society may applaud your humility, but it only listens to your certainty. Nice men whisper. Strong men anchor the room. But here's the dark truth that hurts. Nice men never learned how to disappoint people. They fear it. They fear saying no because they think it makes them unlovable. They fear conflict because they think it makes them wrong. They fear losing a relationship because they secretly believe they aren't worth keeping. And so they choose the safety of being agreeable, unaware that this exact habit is the reason they are ignored. Machiavelli would have called this the tragedy of men who worship harmony at the cost of their dignity. And what happens when a man lives this way? When he is terrified of being seen as difficult, selfish, or rude, he becomes predictable. Predictable men are easy to manipulate, easy to override, easy to replace. Nice men convince themselves they're choosing peace, but what they're really choosing is silence in places they should be speaking, submission in moments they should be standing, and comfort in situations that are killing their confidence. Niceness becomes their shield and their prison. Machiavelli wasn't glorifying cruelty. He was exposing naivete. He knew that the man who clings to goodness without power ends up resentful, bitter, and confused, because life keeps rewarding the very people who refuse to shrink. Look around. The men who rise are not the ones who avoid offense. They're the ones who command space. The ones who are unafraid to disappoint. The ones who are willing to walk away even when their heart wants to stay. That is the man the world respects. That is the man Machiavelli described. Not perfect, not polite, but powerful in presence. The irony is brutal. People say they want a nice man, but they test him like they're trying to break him. And deep down, they know he will bend. Even worse, he knows it too. A nice man's kindness is not a choice. It's a survival pattern. He hopes that if he is gentle enough, loyal enough, forgiving enough, he will finally be valued. But the world reads this differently. It reads, "Here's a man who can be pushed without consequence." Machiavelli warned that a man who is too desperate to be loved becomes someone who cannot be respected. So what does winning look like? Not cruelty, not dominance, but clarity. A clarity so sharp that people know exactly where your line is, and exactly what happens when they cross it. The man who wins is the man who no longer negotiates his worth. The man who understands that attention without respect is manipulation. That affection without boundaries is exploitation. That love without self-respect is self-abandonment. A man becomes powerful the moment he realizes this. Being liked is optional. Being respected is non-negotiable. Being feared? Sometimes necessary. Being yourself? Always essential. Machiavelli believed fear was safer than love, not because fear is superior, but because fear is consistent. Love can change with the weather. Fear respects stability. Love can evaporate when something shinier appears. Fear recognizes certainty. Nice men build their lives on emotion. Strong men build their lives on principle, presence, and a willingness to be misunderstood. And here is the final truth, the one most men run from. If people don't fear disappointing you, they will eventually destroy you. Not intentionally, not maliciously, but naturally. Because humans, by default, push boundaries until they meet resistance. Nice men offer no resistance. They open the gate and hope the world walks in gently. Strong men build the gate, open it with intention, and close it with authority. That is why Machiavelli said nice men never win. Not because niceness is wrong, but because niceness without strength is a slow form of self-erasure. You were not born to be agreeable. You were not born to be invisible. You were not born to be the man who bends until he breaks. You were born to be solid. Unbending. Unafraid of losing people who are perfectly comfortable losing you. The world does not reward softness. It rewards men who combine kindness with backbone, generosity with limits, and love with self-respect. Nice men never win because they never choose themselves. But you, if you're listening, have a choice. And the moment you choose yourself without apology, you stop being the nice man the world ignores and become the strong man the world respects. And here's the part no one warns men about. The day you stop being nice in the way the world expects, people will accuse you of changing. They'll say you've become distant, cold, selfish, maybe even arrogant. But that's only because they were addicted to the version of you that required your self-sacrifice to exist. They weren't attached to you. They were attached to your compliance. And the moment you withdraw that compliance, they panic, not because they're losing you, but because they're losing the benefits you once gave freely. Machiavelli understood this psychological shift long before modern men experienced it. When a man reclaims himself, the world must renegotiate how it treats him. People who once spoke to you with sharp tongues begin to measure their words. People who once took you for granted start paying attention. People who once walked over your silence suddenly want to know your thoughts. And those who never respected you, they quietly fade into the distance because your strength exposes their intentions. This transformation is not loud. It is not dramatic. It is not a declaration. It is a recalibration. A man does not shout that he has changed. He simply carries himself differently. His yes becomes rare. His no becomes firm. His time becomes selective. His presence becomes measured. And the world shifts accordingly because authority doesn't have to announce itself. It only has to enter the room. And in this new version of yourself, you will feel something unfamiliar. Peace. Not the fragile peace that comes from pleasing everyone, but the solid, unshakable peace that comes from honoring yourself. A peace that doesn't beg to be understood. A peace that doesn't need applause. A peace that stands tall even when misunderstood. Because Machiavelli's real message wasn't that men should be feared, it was that men should never fear their own power. This is the moment most men never reach because they are too afraid of losing people who were never afraid of losing them. But you are not most men. And the day you understand the difference, you stop living like a pawn in other people's stories and start moving like the main character in your own.